What's it like to have a mob boss for a mom? At a pool, a little boy is splashing water on a girl, ignoring her pleas to stop. A young Janine turns to the woman next to her, asking if the boy is her son. The woman glances over briefly and shrugs, saying they're just kids playing, no need to worry. Janine doesn't bother arguing with the woman's smug attitude. Instead, she gently touches young Pope's hand. He gets the hint immediately, jumping into the pool and dunking the boy who was bullying his sister.
Will you stop him?
They're just playing, right?
Hey, cut it out, guys! Hey, knock it off!
Will you get him off my son?
Seeing his son nearly drown, the boy's dad jumps in to intervene. But the more he tries, the tighter Pope holds on. It's only when Janine speaks up that the boy is finally spared. The boy's face is bright red from lack of air, all his earlier bravado gone. But the story doesn't end there. As they're leaving, Janine notices the woman still rummaging through her car. An idea sparks in her mind. She tells Pope to take off his shirt, then grabs a hanger from the passenger seat. Once the woman drives off, Janine walks to the back of her car, opens the gas tank, and stuffs Pope's shirt inside. She pours a bottle of high-proof liquor she had ready over it, lights a cigarette, tosses it onto the shirt, and walks away calmly. In moments, the car, perfectly fine just seconds ago, bursts into flames, reduced to a pile of charred metal. Seeing this, Pope, who'd been sulking, finally cracks a satisfied grin. Fast forward 30 years, Pope is now grown, and Janine, who'd been battling cancer, was shot dead by her grandson, Joshua. While the brothers are discussing how to handle Janine's funeral, the lights in the house suddenly flicker on and off. Before they can react, a pickup truck smashes through the gate. A group of armed men jump out, charging in, only to run straight into the Cody brothers, who'd already been scoping out the situation. A fierce gunfight breaks out. The enemy's too strong for now, so they retreat into the house to regroup. But they barely have time to catch their breath before the intruders sneak in with guns, planning to use night vision gear to take out Joshua and the others. It's a solid plan, but navigating the house to find their targets is the real challenge. The layout is the Cody's biggest advantage. Soon enough, Joshua and Darren, using the terrain to their favor, manage to shoot two of the intruders. Meanwhile, Craig sneaks onto the rooftop and, catching a guard outside off guard, takes him down with a clean shot. At the same time, Pope charges in from behind with a baseball bat, knocking out another enemy, then shoves him into the pool, holding him under until he stops struggling. Only when he's sure the guy's drowned does Pope let go. As Pope steps out of the pool and sees the bodies scattered on the ground, memories of Jack's crew from the farm the other day flood back. It's clear this is their revenge. To eliminate the threat, the Cody brothers quickly load the intruders into a car and drive to a deserted spot in the outskirts. Without a word, they open fire, taking out the rest of the group. The incident brings the Cody family back together, at least for now, but with Janine having left her estate to a woman named Pamela, and the gold they recently stole still unsold, they're forced to plan a new job to keep the family financially afloat. Not long after, under Joshua's lead, the uncles gear up for another heist. This time, their target is a crashed plane in the outskirts, loaded with drugs. Joshua says, a day earlier, Joshua got a tip from a contact that a plane belonging to a drug cartel had crashed in the outskirts. It was carrying a ton of cash and drugs, but the crash site is on a rugged mountain road, surrounded by steep cliffs, making it a risky job that no one's dared to touch. Of course, Joshua isn't about to let this opportunity slip. Since Janine's death, the family's been on edge. Even random thugs have had the guts to break into their house. They need a solid plan to rebuild the Cody family's reputation. They head to the location fast. After getting out of the car, they split up to get to work. Joshua, Darren, and Craig grab their gear and start climbing the mountain to search, while Pope stays at the base to cover them. The mountain path is rough and treacherous, but for the Codys, it's nothing they can't handle. It doesn't take long for them to reach the peak. Without wasting words, they ditch the car and hike up higher. At the top, Joshua pulls out a drone to scout the area. Using GPS, they quickly pinpoint the crash site. They secure ropes at the peak, and Joshua and Darren rappel down the mountainside. Craig stays up top, helping Darren lower a bike down, then joins them by rappelling down too. They ride their bikes across the rocky mountain path, making their way to the crash site. Joshua grabs his tools and pries open the cargo hold, but when they get inside, they find it's not cash, it's heroin. Sure, the stuff's worth a fortune, but figuring out how to sell it is the real challenge. Still, they've come this far, no way they're leaving empty-handed. They decide to take the haul, but just then, a drone appears overhead. Before they can react, gunfire erupts from the top of the mountain. Looks like someone else has their eyes on this stash. Seeing the situation turn bad, the group bolts on their bikes, pedaling like mad toward the base of the mountain. but the rugged terrain takes its toll. It doesn't take long for a rock to puncture Craig's tire. Meanwhile, the guys up top keep chasing, unloading a barrage of bullets at them. With chaos erupting, the two uncles scramble for cover, but Joshua stays focused, frantically fixing the tire. In just a few quick moves, the tire's good as new, earning him a new level of respect from his uncles. With the fix done, the three hit the road again. To shake off their pursuers, they take a different route. Just when they think they've made a clean getaway, they hit a steep, vertical drop ahead. There's no turning back now, they've got to risk it. Joshua backs up a few steps, gathers momentum, and pedals full force down the slope. The two uncles follow suit, racing down the drop. Just like that, the three escape their enemies, meeting up with Pope, who's been waiting at the base of the mountain. They ditch the bikes, and Pope gets them in the car, speeding away from the scene. But the danger's far from over. Without Janine's protection, the cops have started sniffing around the Cody family. They need to offload this drug haul fast. If the police catch them with this much illegal stuff, they're looking at serious prison time. Joshua reaches out to his informant to sort things out, but the guy turns out to be a backstabber, jacking up his cut from 20% to 50%. It's a ridiculous demand, but Joshua has no choice but to agree. Trouble just keeps piling up. While the family's still figuring out how to rebuild their reputation, the woman mentioned in Janine's will suddenly shows up.
Darren, I'd like you to meet my son, Phoenix.
So?
My granddaughter, Lark. Pleasure to meet you.
Let's rewind 30 years to see just how wild a young Janine really was. While the owner of a jewelry store isn't paying attention, Janine grabs all the necklaces on the counter and bolts. The owner grabs his gun and chases after her, but before he can fire, Janine's partner, Pamela, comes speeding in with a car and knocks him down. The two work together like a well-oiled machine, and it's this teamwork that lets them run the streets back in the day. Fast forward 30 years, Janine has passed away, and her estate has been left to her old partner in crime, Pamela, the same woman who fought by her side through thick and thin. This decision baffles Joshua and his uncles, who are, after all, Janine's own sons and grandson. But Pamela isn't interested in the estate. She's here for a different reason. She's heard how tight-knit the Cody family is when it comes to pulling off jobs, so she makes them an offer, help her steal a safe, and she'll sign over all of Janine's assets to them. If they refuse, they'll have to move out by the end of the week. It's their own family's inheritance, and now an outsider is calling the shots. The Codys aren't happy about it, but with no other way to reclaim what's theirs, they have no choice but to agree to Pamela's terms. That afternoon, the group heads to the job site with Pamela's son. The target is an amusement park run by a local gang, and the safe is in an office on the second floor. Security here is pretty lax, but the place operates 24/7. There's no way to get the safe through the main entrance, but that's no problem for the Codys. They've already got a plan. The next day, they disguise themselves as repairmen to get into the adjacent building. The idea is to drill a hole through the wall from the next room over to sneak into the office without the gang noticing. It sounds like a solid plan, but they overlooked one thing: the noise. It doesn't take long for the drilling to catch the attention of the park's manager. It's the weekend, there's no construction scheduled, so the manager and his crew storm over to the neighboring floor, pissed off and ready to set things straight. They even call the construction company to complain. When they get there, Joshua, who's standing guard outside, stops them. One of the guys can't hold back, letting loose a string of curses and ordering them to clear out in 10 minutes or else they'll regret it. With no other choice, Joshua heads back upstairs to tell the others to pull out, but Darren insists they're almost through the wall. They can't let all their work go to waste. For the sake of the estate, they've got to take the risk. Sure enough, it doesn't take long for Darren to break through the wall and get inside, but they quickly realize they're in a storage room. The safe is actually in the office next door. After a quick discussion, they come up with a new plan: bust through the door and escape through the window. They divvy up the tasks. Craig hurries downstairs to bring the car around for backup, while Darren uses a crowbar to pry the door open. Once he spots the safe, Darren grabs his tools and gets to work removing it. Meanwhile, Joshua ties the door shut with rope to buy them some time. But at that moment, the manager gets a call from the construction crew, saying they didn't send anyone to work today. Realizing they've been played, the gang panics and rushes to the second floor. They can't get the door open, so the manager orders his guys to grab tools to break it down. By then, Joshua and Darren have already tossed the safe out the window, jumped down to the car below, loaded it up, and taken off. When the gang finally breaks through the door and storms in, Joshua and his crew are long gone. Just like that, the Cody brothers pull off the job, delivering the safe straight to Pamela. True to her word, she hands over Janine's entire estate to the family. Because of this, the crew disappears for a few months to handle the legal paperwork for the inheritance. Craig and his girlfriend welcome a cute baby boy, but while he's out for a walk with his son, some reckless punk scares the kid. Without hesitation, Craig shoves the guy to the ground, and he's not done. He orders his guys to round up all the skateboards from the local punks, piling them up in the town square. With a whistle, a monster truck rolls in from behind, and without a word, it crushes the whole pile of skateboards. The punks watching are stunned, frozen in place. In no time, the skateboards are reduced to a heap of scrap. Only then does Craig turn to his son, reassuring him, "I won't let skateboards scare you anymore, buddy." But this is just another day in the life of the Cody family. Lately, Joshua's been tied up handling Janine's estate transfer, so the crew hasn't pulled a job in a while. Feeling the itch to get back in the game, Darren and Craig decide to have a little fun. They set their sights on a yacht docked at the harbor. According to their informant, a group of rich guys are gambling on board. The two mask up, grab their guns, and sneak onto the yacht. The high rollers on the boat have no idea danger's closing in. A second later, Darren and Craig kick the door open and storm in. After getting the group on the yacht under control, Darren starts searching for anything valuable, but to their surprise, all the cash on board is just stacks of $1 bills, no high-value checks like the informant claimed. Craig immediately grills them, asking if they've hidden the real money somewhere. One of the guys admits he doesn't have much cash, and he only stole his dad's keys to the yacht to show off to his two buddies. Darren and Craig are speechless, but they still decide to teach these wannabe big shots a lesson. Craig heads to the front of the yacht, disables the alarm system, and sets sail, leaving the harbor behind. Before long, they're 50 nautical miles from shore. Craig tells Darren to take a speedboat and wait nearby, while he sabotages the engine to leave the yacht stranded at sea. Back inside, he finds a stash of drugs, then calls the Coast Guard, reporting that the yacht's in trouble and needs rescue. After hanging up, Craig dumps the entire stash of drugs all over the fake high rollers. With that done, Craig bolts outside and takes off with Darren on the speedboat. Short, this job didn't come with a big payday, but at least they had a good time. Back in the day, a stunt like this would have definitely earned them a scolding from Janine. Before they can fully soak in the fun, Joshua gathers everyone for a new plan. This time, their target is a money laundering operation run by a local gang. Scoping the place out from the outside, the sheer scale of the operation blows them away. A day earlier, Joshua got a tip from an informant about this spot, a money laundering hub for the mob, moving around $1 million a day. With that kind of profit on the table, there's no way they're passing it up. They quickly put a plan together and get ready to move. The next afternoon, Darren plants a tracking device in a stack of cash, then has the informant pose as a business partner to deliver the money to the laundering operation. The guy in charge doesn't check it too closely, he just logs the info and stashes it in a cabinet. Soon enough, the tracker starts pinging. The crew heads out to follow the signal, eventually tracing it to a major port. That's when they realize the gang's been using disguised shipping containers to move the cash out for processing. The port's under tight security, with cops patrolling the waterways. For most people, pulling off a heist here would be next to impossible, but for the Codys, it's just another day on the job. The next day, they split up to execute the plan. Joshua disguises himself as a delivery driver, sneaking Pope and Craig into the port hidden in the truck. Meanwhile, Darren poses as a maintenance worker, waiting out on the water to back them up. The crew quickly locates the container hiding the cash. Craig grabs a pair of bolt cutters, snaps the lock, and he and Pope haul their gear inside, while Joshua stays outside to keep watch. Once they spot the safe, they fire up a blowtorch to cut through the lock, but at that moment, a worker passing by notices sparks coming from the container's door and turns to check it out. Sensing trouble, Joshua floors it, ramming his truck into the worker's vehicle.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Is it okay?
Though they manage to stop the worker from inspecting the container, their argument catches the attention of the port manager. By now, Pope and Craig have cracked the safe and are stuffing the cash into bags, but the manager, arriving at the scene, realizes Joshua isn't a port employee. Hearing noises from the container, he orders his men to grab Joshua, then pulls his gun and cautiously approaches the container. Pope, about to leave, senses someone closing in. The second the manager opens the door, Pope kicks him to the ground. He and Craig grab the money and bolt, while Joshua seizes the moment to break free from the henchmen holding him. The manager, furious, gets up and starts firing at Joshua, chasing him down. At the same time, the Coast Guard hears the gunfire and speeds toward the port. Pope and Craig link up with Darren, who's been waiting on the water for backup, and they immediately head to rescue Joshua. To escape the pursuit, Joshua has no choice but to jump into the ocean. Luckily, his uncles arrive just in time, pulling him onto their boat. They manage to get away from the port, but the Coast Guard is already closing in. It's all part of the plan, though. They race toward a sharp turn, veering into the enemy's blind spot, then strap on oxygen tanks and jump into the water. Craig sets the boat to autopilot before jumping in too. Just like that, they trick the Coast Guard, who speed off after the empty boat, oblivious to the Codys hiding underwater. The mission's a complete success. Back home, the crew can't stop grinning as they look over their haul, and even their informant can't help but praise their skills.
Hey, it's nice to see you boys working together. Smurf would be proud.
That night, the brothers throw a party to celebrate the win. And that's the end of Season 5 of Animal Kingdom. Be sure to hit like and drop a comment below to support us as we get ready for Season 6. Thanks for watching our video. See you next time.